The atmosphere inside the Samurai Japan locker room turned ice cold the moment the starting lineup for the Venezuela game was officially announced. What happened next shocked everyone inside that room, and is now sending shockwaves through the entire baseball world. Shohei Ohtani, the most dominant player on the planet, slammed his fist on the table so hard that the entire room went silent. Players froze. Coaches exchanged nervous glances. And manager Hiroki Ibata stood at the front of the room, his face drained of all color. This was not the Samurai Japan anyone expected to see. This was not the calm, composed, and laser-focused team that had arrived at this tournament with championship ambitions. Something had gone terribly wrong, and it all started the moment that lineup card was posted on the wall. Today, we are going to break down exactly what happened inside that locker room, why Ohtani is furious, what manager Ibata's decision really means for Samurai Japan's chances against Venezuela, and whether this internal crisis could destroy Japan's World Baseball Classic dreams before the most important game of the tournament even begins. To understand why Ohtani's reaction was so explosive, you first need to understand the pressure that Samurai Japan is currently carrying into the Venezuela matchup. Venezuela is not just another opponent. This is a team loaded with MLB talent, players who compete at the highest level every single day. Their pitching staff is aggressive, their lineup is deep, and their ability to capitalize on any weakness is elite. Every strategic decision that manager Ibata makes against Venezuela will be examined under a microscope. One wrong call could mean the end of Japan's tournament. So when the starting lineup was announced and key players and Ohtani himself saw the decisions that had been made, the reaction was immediate. Ohtani did not hold back. He did not stay quiet out of respect. He slammed his fist on the table and made his feelings absolutely clear to everyone in that room. According to sources close to the team, Ohtani stood up and said directly, "I absolutely cannot accept the current situation." Those words hung in the air like a thundercloud. Coming from any other player, such an outburst might be dismissed as frustration. But coming from Shohei Ohtani, a man known for his professionalism, his discipline, and his almost superhuman composure, those words carry a completely different weight. When Ohtani speaks, everyone listens. When Ohtani is angry, everyone pays attention. So what exactly is in the starting lineup that triggered such a dramatic response? Manager Ibata's decisions for the Venezuela game represent a significant departure from the lineup strategy that Samurai Japan has used throughout this tournament. Several choices in particular have raised serious concerns, not just from Ohtani, but from multiple players inside the locker room. The first controversial decision involves the batting order itself. Ohtani has been established as the leadoff hitter throughout this WBC, a position that perfectly suits his combination of on-base ability, elite speed, and overwhelming power. His presence at the top of the lineup forces opponents to deal with the most dangerous hitter in the world from the very first inning. Against Venezuela, this is not just a strategic advantage, it is an absolute necessity. However, sources indicate that Ibata was considering changes to the top of the lineup that Ohtani found completely unacceptable. Ohtani's philosophy going into this tournament has always been aggressive from the first pitch. Any adjustment that disrupts this philosophy, especially against a team as dangerous as Venezuela, crossed a line for him. The second issue involves player selection. Ohtani has reportedly been pushing strongly for certain teammates to be given starting roles against Venezuela, believing that the team's best chance of winning requires putting the most informed players on the field, regardless of reputation or seniority. Manager Ibata's lineup card reflected a different set of priorities, and that difference in judgment is what brought tensions inside the locker room to a boiling point. When Ohtani made his statement, the room did not stay calm for long. What followed was described by those present as a scene that nobody had ever witnessed inside a Samurai Japan locker room before. Voices were raised. Players who are normally quiet and reserved began speaking out loudly. The tension between those who supported Ohtani's position and those who felt loyalty to manager Ibata's authority created a split inside the team that became impossible to ignore. Manager Ibata, to his credit, did not back down immediately. He stood his ground and attempted to explain the reasoning behind each of his lineup decisions. He spoke about the importance of maintaining team structure, about the dangers of making too many changes at once, and about his belief that the players he selected would rise to the occasion against Venezuela. But Ohtani was not satisfied. He reportedly pushed back with detailed, specific arguments pointing to statistics, to matchup data, to the performances he had personally observed in training and in earlier tournament games. Ohtani did not simply complain. He came with evidence. He came with a clear point of view, and that made his challenge to Ibata's authority even more difficult to dismiss. The argument continued for an extended period behind closed doors. By the time players began filtering out of the locker room, the atmosphere remained tense and unsettled. Word spread quickly through the Japanese media that something serious had happened, and the questions began pouring in almost immediately. This conflict reveals something deeper about the current state of Samurai Japan that goes beyond a single lineup decision. Throughout this tournament, manager Ibata has faced quiet but growing criticism about his strategic flexibility. While Samurai Japan has performed well enough to advance, the team has not been playing with the kind of dominant, explosive energy that made the 2023 WBC squad under Hideki Kuriyama so memorable and so feared. Key offensive players have underperformed. The pitch clock has disrupted timing and rhythm at the plate, and Ibata has sometimes been slow to make the adjustments needed to respond to these challenges in real time. The players are aware of this, and Ohtani, who has spent years studying baseball at its highest level alongside the best players in the world at the Los Angeles Dodgers, has strong opinions about what winning baseball looks like. The clash in the locker room is therefore not just about one lineup card for one game. It is the moment where all of that underlying tension finally broke through the surface. Ohtani's frustration had been building. The Venezuela game, the most important and most dangerous matchup of this stage of the tournament, was the moment that pushed everything over the edge. Now the most critical question facing Samurai Japan is this: what happens next? Ohtani declared that he would not play under the current situation. Those are words that cannot simply be walked back or forgotten. They set a boundary, and how manager Ibata and the Samurai Japan organization respond to that boundary will define the rest of this tournament. There are essentially two paths forward. The first is that Ibata makes meaningful adjustments to the lineup, adjustments that reflect Ohtani's concerns and restore his confidence in the team's strategy going into the Venezuela game. This path preserves Japan's best chance of winning but requires Ibata to publicly walk back decisions he has already committed to, which carries its own risks for team discipline and managerial authority. The second path is that Ibata holds firm, insisting that his authority as manager must be respected regardless of which player is raising objections. This path maintains the chain of command but risks going into the most important game of the tournament without Samurai Japan's greatest player fully committed and fully engaged. Neither option is easy. Neither option is without consequences. And the clock is ticking, because game day against Venezuela is approaching fast. What is clear right now is that Samurai Japan is at a crossroads. The talent is there. The potential is there. Ohtani is still the most electrifying player in this entire tournament, and when he is locked in and fully motivated, there is no team on the planet that can stop what he brings to the field. But internal conflict at this level, a superstar publicly clashing with team management on the eve of a crucial game, is the kind of distraction that has ended championship runs for far more experienced and far more settled teams. Venezuela will come into this game with full focus and maximum intensity. Samurai Japan cannot afford to walk onto that field divided. Manager Ibata must make a decision. He must find a way to either satisfy Ohtani's demands in a manner that the entire team can accept, or he must find a way to bring Ohtani back to full commitment without compromising his authority. It is an incredibly delicate situation, and how he handles it in the next few hours will tell us everything about what kind of leader he truly is. The locker room clash is over, but the real test for Samurai Japan is just beginning. Will Ohtani take the field against Venezuela? Will Ibata adjust the lineup? Or will this internal storm become the story that defines Japan's entire 2026 World Baseball Classic campaign? Stay tuned, because this situation is developing rapidly, and every update matters. Thank you for watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Ohtani is right to push back? Or should he trust manager Ibata's decisions? If you want to stay updated on all the latest Samurai Japan news and WBC developments, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. You do not want to miss what comes next.